It's a betrayal of trust, because that was at a point where I felt Connor was finally starting to really warm up to Monroe after what had happened in the previous episode, and really accepting him as his father. So hearing that was him just getting burned again. He's been burned so many times, so many lies have been told to him. So, and that one was especially hurtful in the context. And seeing as Monroe is the only person that Connor has at this point, it's the only sure thing in his life. So definitely a heartbreaking blow. In general, Spidey senses tingling even more. Connor is always feeling everybody out, seeing who he can trust, and definitely he's skeptical about certain aspects of Monroe now. He doesn't know what to believe. But like I said, he's the only person Connor has that's a sure thing in his life, somewhat. So you know, the conflict of that is what arises. Yeah, I think there's always that element. She's the female in his life, but there's nothing. I don't think he leans on her. He doesn't trust anyone. I think he doesn't really know, and that's what's kind of interesting for me, seeing that through his eyes. He doesn't really know what his place is, and he's trying to find that within that group dynamic, and he doesn't even know if he wants to be a part of it. So, you know, there's a little bit of back and forth as far as his point of view goes in that group, in that dynamic. So, yeah, I don't think he really knows. He's feeling it out. He's taking everything in. He's taking everybody in. He's seeing once again who he can trust, because trust is a very, very important part of this character.
How is he going to react when he first gets to meet Jason and Neville? I mean, those are kind of a different dynamic completely.
On meeting Jason?
Yeah, and his dad.
Doesn't meet Tom. With Jason, skeptical as to what's going on with this dude. That's all I'll give you. There's just a special bond between father and son. It's like the man-to-man loyalty, I suppose, and when that trust is broken, I think there's an extra weight to the heartbreak. I think Connor's always been searching for that father figure, because you see it with Nunez. You see how he sort of latched onto that guy, even though he was this sort of ruthless dictator within that realm, and he's been looking for that sort of fatherly character in his life. So finding Monroe, it took him a while to feel him out, and then for that betrayal to happen in the next episode is just it shatters everything, really. At that moment for him, it shatters everything. But that doesn't mean there is no hope for rebuilding of that trust. As you'll see, you know, he doesn't know what his role is in this group, because this is a group full of leaders, essentially. The writers call them heroes, and I see them that way as well. I'm not sure if Connor does. He sees them on the same level, but it's he's trying to get into that sort of feel as well, of being a leader in that group, but it doesn't come off as well as he likes. People trust each other in this group dynamic, so it's yeah, and especially him, because he's just from really out of nowhere, out of left field, just comes into the group fold. And there's all the history with Monroe and Rachel, and Monroe and Charlie, and Miles and Monroe, and it's a huge melting pot of craziness. So, you know, but yes, to answer your question, I think he does see himself as a leader, and I don't know where they're going with his storyline, but I think those aspects will come into the fold. I think he starts to warm up to Miles. For me, that's what I felt, a warming up to Miles, silently though. Definitely a figure that he respects, and someone that he's starting to see the value of. and he sees his morality as compared to Monroe's morality, and they're on two different planes at this point. And I think there's something about that attracts Miles to Connor.
Does he actually have a heart of a killer? That's one of the things this next episode taps into.
So. I think he has the capacity, like any of us, and that capacity has been heightened in situations in his life, but I don't think he has the cold-blooded heart of a killer. I think underneath he's got a big heart, in fact. And you start to see little bits of that put into the story in incoming episodes.
And as far as his relationship with Charlie, he's going to eventually get to meet Jason. Is he going to think he's the better man, or is he going to want to step aside and let the better man supposedly claim her heart?
I think it's going to be a butting of heads. I didn't mean he's going to have a love interest. It's going to be a new chemistry that comes into the fold when someone is introduced. So, yeah. Connor is not the type of person who just opens up to anybody, like we've talked about. So, if anything, maybe there's a silent recognition, just like with Miles. Connor is definitely a silent observer on the show, and I like that about him. There's a bit of mystery to him, and I think that they're playing on the element 100%. The nanites, it's such a crazy idea in the first place. I think that definitely would, change his perceptions.
Well, you mentioned this was a group of leaders, and Connor is attracted to them because they're all kind of that hero, leader kind of qualities. What does he bring to the table if he sees himself that way?
I mean, we've seen in these episodes, he's a very capable warrior. He's loyal, and I think he's also got like I said, he's a silent observer, and he's got an intelligence about him to see things in a way that could help the group to survive, because that's what they're ultimately doing, is trying to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. And I think he definitely brings elements that they would need in that dynamic. I think they have two different ideas of what their Monroe Republic is, and I don't think that they even, either one of them, know what those are, but it's bringing them together. So I think he's encouraged by it, just because he's getting that love from his father within that idea. That's how they're bonding.